KHM Today, your bi-weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I'm your host, Carolyn Orff, and today is August 27th, 2025. Welcome, everyone, and it is National Just Because Day. I hope you're all having a great day. Please let us know you're here by posting in the public chat. Let's see. We got a couple of things to talk about, you guys. We've got some events coming up at KHM. We've got Boot Camp 1.0. We've got Luxury Symposium. We have our first weekend Boot Camp 1.0. So if you aren't signed up and you've always hesitated, please sign up for that. And of course, there's virtual options for all of those events. So we're very excited to have you participate in some of that. You guys, the weather continues to be a bit of a challenge on the East Coast for our travelers. So make sure you're keep giving everyone a heads up and you're being proactive with flights and all of that sort of stuff. To be honest, I haven't watched the news today, so I don't know the current status of it. I've been too busy, you guys, working with all of you. Our continued thoughts and prayers go out to all of those that were impacted on the East Coast this week with the hurricanes. Speaking of Gwen from Raleigh, I hope that everything is okay. I know Hurricane Aaron kind of had you guys going in circles there for a little bit. Let's see what else. You guys, big news. We were just talking about this before we started. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. I know it's not travel news, but it is news. So, we're going to give it to you. Let's see. We had some team members on board this week or last week with the Star of the Seas. I heard incredible feedback. They just thought it was absolutely beautiful. And of course, there was the new dog on the ship as well. And Amy Garner's here today, and she was just at a Disney event where they were able to see the new beak and barrel. So we're going to hear a little bit about that as well. So you guys, for most of us, our family members are back in school. And if they're not, they've just got a good week and a half before they are. So this is kind of always the time of year where we're not necessarily doing a full reset, but we are definitely doing a push to the finish line for the end of 2025. So we're going to talk about what does that growth look like? What are the things that you're putting into action to have a really successful end of Q3 and of course, Q4. So we're going to talk about that today and dive into education process and really think about how to end the year on a successful note. And to do that, we are going to talk to Amy Garner, our Assistant Manager of Agent Engagement, and one of my favorite agents that I get to talk with all of the time because she loves to set up coaching calls and I love doing them with her, Maranatha Lee, live from her home in Portugal. Welcome, both of you.
Hey, Carolyn. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Hi to you both. Are you tired, Maranatha? I know it's late there.
Oh, yes, a little bit. I'm definitely kind of ready to go to bed. It's been a long week.
Well, thanks for taking one for the team and being here. And when I emailed you and said, "Would you do this?" I remember your response was, "Are you sure, me?" And the answer is absolutely. And one of the reasons that I think I really wanted you to come on is because I think that you're so focused on growing your business, which is why we talk every 4 to 6 weeks, but we just don't talk, right? You are really good and focused about action steps and things that you can do to grow your business. And you're looking so long term that it's actually one of the highlights of my month when we do get to talk. So I kind of wanted you to share some of your thought process. Why are you laughing?
It's like, I don't know, it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time. So.
Yes, that you think so much. I do get that. But I just think it's amazing that you're so committed all the time to improving and you're so open to feedback. And you guys, one of the things you should also know about her is we don't just chat. There is always homework, and she doesn't set up that next phone call until the homework is done. And that's how you know someone is truly passionate about making progress in their business. So that is why you are here today. And then, of course, Amy, you're not just our Assistant Manager of Agent Engagement, but you're also an active travel agent. And I just think that I'm always in awe of the things that you're constantly learning and doing and improving upon. And I think that you're really good at sharing that message with agents. So everyone, that is why these two are the guests today
Yay.
on the show. So,
Thank you.
well, you're very welcome. It's absolutely true. So, I want to ask you both as we move into kind of the end of Q4, end of Q3, beginning of Q4. What are some of the things that you're putting into action in order to end strong in 2025? Maranatha, let's start with you.
Well, I've definitely been doing a lot of webinars, whether it's about resorts or destinations. And then even if it's like somewhere new I haven't been, or I've been to this resort before, I'm still doing the webinar just to see what type of updates are going on at that resort so I can pass it off to my client. And then going back to what Carolyn said about one of my travel agent friends was actually laughing at me because she called me the other day and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm mapping out my blog content for 2026." She was like, "I wish I could be you." So I've been trying to like come up with topics I would talk about next year, looking at the remaining of this year if I need to switch any blog content around. And then also with social media, just setting down time on my calendar to talk about like map out November and December social content. Cause I just know with the holidays, like I just want everything fully loaded and scheduled by November is my goal, for both November and December, those busy months. And yeah, and just looking forward to like next year, just mapping out topics for the beginning of Q1 for social media too as well.
I love how you're saying you're looking so far ahead, and that's hard to do for a lot of people. But I also think that it alleviates some of the stress if you're not sitting there and going, "Oh, it's Wednesday. What should I post?"
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I
Friday's coming in
schedule
2 days. What should I post?
I schedule all my social media content a month ahead of time. So just last week all of September is set and loaded for the month.
That's
So, and
amazing.
I'll be working on October soon because I'm about to start traveling a lot. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna have October like loaded in the next week or two. So, and it does help. I will say I do have a marketing background, so that does benefit me.
Mhm. Mhm. Amy, what are your suggestions for people who are trying to finish strong in the last few months of the year, but still want to like boost their sales just a little bit for
Yeah.
2025, not even going into 2026? Like you want to grab those last minute trips.
Well, I mean, we're talking about going back to school, and I feel like that's such a great opportunity when you have if you have a local client base. I sent out little reminders to some of my clients, like, "Hey, we have fall break coming up. These are the winter dates that are coming up for 2025. If you want to get something scheduled, if you're already feeling overwhelmed, school went back in here just a couple weeks ago. If you're ready to get away, we can make that happen."
You're already
So
tired of school.
yeah, I mean, school breaks, I feel like, are like built-in gold
Mhm.
for us, especially as everybody is panicking and packing bags and getting used to the homework and the whole thing again.
What have you learned this year about yourself, your business, maybe your process that has you excited, and you're looking forward
Mhm.
to continuing that into the next year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for me this year has been all about balance as I've stepped up more of what I'm doing at KHM and figuring out what that looks like. So for me, it's been a little bit of trying to take a page from Maranatha's book here and work ahead. And it's something that I really enjoy doing. And so I'm like, why have I not been doing this?
Mm,
But actually getting the things in place that I know that I need. I feel like we always leave time in our schedules to, do the social media posts and do those kinds of things. And they just become time sucks. So anything that I can batch do is what I'm trying to do as I go forward, like I'm getting my kids back on a schedule theoretically, and so now I know that I thrive on a schedule. They say you ask the busiest person, the busiest person is the most productive
Mm.
person, and I'm really trying to give myself structure and take a page from your book that you talk about in 2.0 when you talk about time blocking,
Yeah.
and just getting things done in one fell swoop instead of doing so many touches on the same things over and over again.
I love your wording of batch. That totally goes with like the whole time blocking thing, right? Like I make payments in a batch. It's not this person's payment
Mhm.
and a day later, this person's payment. It's nope, payments are happening all right now on this day. Um,
Yep.
I love that term. I'm going to steal that one.
Yeah, go
Maranatha,
for it.
what
I
about
stole it from
you?
you.
What about you? I mean, you've done so much this year. What has you excited?
For next year
Well,
or
for
just
next
well,
year, what really got you excited for this year that you're like, "Yeah, I did that."
I would say like a few months ago, I went down this rabbit hole of trying to find places in my operations and process of how to trim down time. Because I know as I get busier, like that's going to be a problem in the
Mhm,
future. So, during one of our touch bases, I did the homework of how many emails do I send to a client? And I think when I wrote it all out, I think it was like 12 emails from beginning to end. And so looking at how to like trim my communication so that
mhm.
way I could be more efficient. And so I ended up cutting down two of my emails. I think I cut down like two or three of my emails because I was sending emails to clients reminding them to check in for their flights. And so Carolyn was like, you should just have a know before you go guide and include that information in there. So I've been working on that this year, creating all these know before you go guides and building up my library in Travify. And so that way I can just drop that in place. Chat GBT has been really helpful with that, helping
Mhm.
me create those know before you go guides for different places. So that's been a real time saver. And then I was also going to say one thing that's been really great this year is I've saw higher engagement on my social media and my blog content. Like my Google profile has been looking great every month. So that's been really encouraging to see all my like efforts for marketing like
Mhm.
finally paying off. So that's really
Mhm.
exciting.
One of the things that I want to just kind of comment on when you talk about your process, one of the things that I've worked on this year is communicating to my clients the ownership they have in their own trip. And it made me think about this when we had discussed your emails to your clients to remind them to check in, right? And
Yeah.
I remember this conversation, and I had just kind of said one of the things I was working on was, client, you have to own parts of your vacation. I and if you want to pay for me to come and do all this stuff for you, I'm happy to do that. But there's a certain point where the client does need to take ownership. And I've started incorporating that conversation into my final document piece. And I'm not surprised that the clients are open to that idea. What I think is so interesting is the number of times they say, well, of course. And that was really affirming to me that what was going on in my brain and what I felt like needed to happen, they were okay with happening. And I wasn't falling short of my service level because of that. So I'm really proud. When you think of 12 to 10, it might not sound that great of a difference, but
Mhm.
I think it is. I think it is,
Mhm.
especially depending on the trip. Um,
Yeah.
Amy, what about you? What do you think about everything that you've accomplished this year and
Oh man, I I have
besides balance?
made yeah, well, and still a work in progress to be clear. This year for me was really a year of streamlining my business. I feel like there's so many tools, there's so many things out there, that it's really easy to always feel like there's the next tool, the next best thing. And so this was my year of embracing our CRM and really using the tools that are already available to me. And I've been amazed. I felt like using all of these third party tools was helping my process be more efficient, but um, I found out that was not necessarily the case. And there's so it really helped to just have a lot of my information all in one place and not be
Mm,
bouncing around to different things. So that's been my project this year, has been really just embracing the CRM that's included in my membership at KHM, taking advantage of it, and therefore now all of the reports, all of the other things have so much more value to me.
mhm.
So tuning out the noise and really figuring out what I need. Because if I rebuilt my library one more time, I was gonna lose it. I was gonna lose it.
I think that that process and tools, and we can listen to a lot of what other people are doing, and we don't always focus on the things that work for us, and sometimes the things that don't work for us.
Mhm.
I mean, there's sometimes where efficiency really needs to outweigh everything else, sometimes even cost, and in that case it works. But to be mindful of that and really reflect on it, and quite frankly take notes like you did, Maranatha, right? Like, let me look at this on paper. And I know for some of you the idea of a
Mhm.
paper and a pencil is really challenging, but I know if I write things out, I can clearly see where holes are, where I might be missing something, and then try to go back and fix the hole. So I love that idea. At the end of summer, we tend to have like some last minute regrets, or, oh, I wish I did this, or I wish I did that. Is there anything that, as you look back on the last couple of months, that you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that? Let me add it to my list for either now or for 2026. And it can be personal or professional.
Mm. Oh, well, I will say that I was regretting that we did not do like a proper summer vacation. We had a bunch of plans in the works, and every time there was like something that
Mm.
popped up, a date, a cheer company, whatever it was. And so I will say that I impulsively booked a trip, and we're going back to Disney. We leave this weekend because I was filled with regret that my kids hadn't had like a proper summer vacation. So we're doing a back to school vacation instead.
You were in school for 3 days. Now it's time to take a
Yep.
break.
Yeah. Exactly. That was a lot.
Maranatha, what about you? You've done a lot of traveling.
I know. I was like, I have no regrets. It's been a really great summer for me. Sorry, Amy. I did my third Virgin cruise this summer, and I went to Greece and Turkey. So I
Mm.
added two more countries to my list, and next month I'll be at country number 40. So that was exciting. And then I've been enjoying my summer here in Portugal. It's really nice to live close to a beach, well, a nice beach, because coming from Dallas, essentially kind of landlocked, like not near a
Mhm.
good ocean, and Galveston does not count. So it's been really nice to go to all these different beach clubs every weekend. And then I also went to Ohio this summer, and I did my first destination success, and that was really great, in group boot camp. So I did a lot over this summer, and it's been great.
So no regrets.
No regrets. No.
No regrets. I love that. Amy,
That's
I'm kind of
basic.
with you. This is the first summer we haven't done something big, especially after graduation. You guys can see my back to school. My son's now at University of Tennessee. Go Vols. And so orange is not really the new black for me, but I'm trying to embrace it because it's not the best color for redheads, but I'm trying to work it. But I will say that it was rough not having that vacation either, because I do think that it's a mental reset. We are having that
Mhm.
after Christmas, which is usually not when I need it, but I'm going to take it because that is when, as you get older and you don't have that flexibility in schedules, you really have to just take the time when you can. But I would say that we forget sometimes how important that time away from our jobs is, and that includes like a full-time job, or your travel agency that you're either working part-time or full-time. To step away from that from a minute, I think is refreshing and important in order to keep energized, fulfilled, because every career, every job is a little draining to a certain degree. We can't love everything all the time. And I think that when you immerse yourself in some sort of travel experience, you reset a little bit. And it's usually for the better, not for the worse.
That's true. Okay, I want to turn the tables on you and ask, how do you feel being an empty nester now? What's back to
It's
school like for you?
it's very quiet. And I'll tell you, like, there's no food in the fridge. Like, I have a big fridge, and I'm like there's not 10 bags of carrots, and there's not protein packed in there. It's very, very quiet, but I will say, when you get those daily texts from your kids, because I don't track my kids on 360, so I have no idea where they are, what they're doing. I rely on the daily text or phone call. It really makes you feel like you have done a good job when they are happy, when they're learning, when they're with like-minded people, and also not like-minded people, and they are just
Mhm.
in their element. You really feel like, nice job, I did it. The tears, the scraped knees, the temper tantrums, like the anxiety. Yeah, I couldn't be more impressed with both my kids in this moment.
That's awesome.
And I
Oh,
think
that's
my
awesome.
grocery bill is going to appreciate it. But as you both know, I just received a request for donation from my oldest child. I don't know how much my grocery bill is going to have a little bit of a reprieve from those two for long. Amy, I know that you were just in Disney for a business event, which again is a
Mhm.
rejuvenator. Can you share a little bit about what you learned, what the experience was like, and how you're bringing it back to not only share with KHM, but also within your own business?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the Play and Preview event. And so Walt Disney World hosted some of their accounts like us, as well as influencers and media outlets to come down and get a preview of some of the things that are upcoming, one of which has now already happened. Beacon Barrel is open. But we are it was really a cool event. So it started with a reception where we could all just kind of get to know each other, take pictures with the characters, check in with your BDM. So all of that was amazing. But the second day, we went to the festival space that they have at Epcot between the UK and Canada. And they had a whole, like, I've been calling it kind of like the Apple event. There was the stage and the big screen, smoke machines. They had performers come in and talk about all of the stuff that was coming up. So I think the highlight of the trip for me, though, was that they had officially announced that Rock and Roller Coaster is going to be having a Muppet makeover, which is so fun. But we got to actually see the Muppeteers, if you will, rolling around on their little stools with the puppets, and watching them actually make the voices was the coolest thing that I think I've ever experienced at Disney. My kids are gonna die mad about that one, but it was so cool to see that. And then we got to actually put hands on the new blasters for Buzz Lightyear. coming to Tomorrowland. So they are no longer going to be strapped to the ride vehicle, brand new ride vehicles too.
Ooh.
And the targets are now digital, so you'll be able to tell where you're shooting. So I finally stand a chance at beating my children. I just would like to say. um, I'm thrilled about this development, but it was just it was the Disney magic, you know? No one does announcements and things quite like Disney does. They really built the hype, made everybody feel included in the event. There was tons of time to kind of get around. Of course, you guys know me. I like to be front and center when it comes to announcements. I did not want anyone blocking my view, so I may or may not have steamrolled some other people getting to the front row for all of the announcements, but it was so fun. And then we got to go to Beacon Barrel after, which was super cool to be there the very first day that they ever served anyone. Cast members hadn't been in, our BDM hadn't been there yet, so it was
Wow.
literally just the cast members working that had seen it before we did.
Wow.
And it's so cool. Honestly, I was a little skeptical. I was like, okay, like a pirate lounge, what does this mean? The theming, it is so immersive. You go in and right away your servers have the R, welcome to like the whole thing. I'm thinking, how are they like they're all gonna need hopefully they had vocal coaching on how to sustain
Right.
this. But they tons of fun. They have like interactive shows that are kind of built in, so depending on when you go, you might have like the sirens call the mermaids where everybody has to cover their ears, or like a storm approaches the ship and everybody has to hold on, and it's really really cool, but very similar to Oga's Cantina, like the actual policies, the framework of it. Like
Mhm.
you have 45 minutes, 2 drink maximum, communal tables, so you might sit with other parties. If you end up at the bar, there's no bar stools, it's standing room only. So that's important to know for sure. But gosh, it was just so fun to be there and get to see it firsthand and really like know how it was going to work, and then be able to tell our agents, really,
Mhm.
this is how it's going to work.
So 2 questions for you. Do you remember when they used to have the Muppet Building in Hollywood Studios?
Yes.
That is my biggest regret, that I never built a Muppet, because I love the Muppet.
Oh,
And I never built one, and it really, like, to this day. And so when I see them trying to revive a little bit of that in the parks, I'm like, will they
hmm,
bring it back? Like, that's something that I would
yes.
love to see. The other thing that I actually am surprised about is that that ride became Muppets and not High School Musical. Where is the High School Musical theming?
I mean, I feel like they could have used that suggestion, but
Yeah,
they don't have any Disney Channel stuff, which I really feel like is a missed opportunity. I have an 11-year-old, and her world revolves around High School Musical, zombies,
yeah,
Descendants, all of those things.
yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
this is very interesting. And Maranatha's like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm a huge Disney fan, so I was jealous of her photos because I'm really excited about
Oh,
that bar.
see,
So
this is
it
something I did not
was,
know about you, that you're a Disney fan. I did not know that
yeah,
about
I'm
you.
like, I cannot wait for the Villains Park to open. That's what I'm like most excited
yes.
for. Yeah,
And there's a new villain show in Hollywood Studios that we got to
yes,
go
I
see.
heard.
So
I heard.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Disney gave us so much last year. Like there's the new villain stuff coming. There's the new Cars rides. There's
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. That all these little things just kind of like we're like, oh, that seems like nothing. But like even just they're redoing Star Wars Launch Bay and the animation courtyard. It's going to look like one of the buildings from the animation studios and have an animation experience inside of it, and just all these little changes that I feel like are we're overdue for the parks.
Right.
Like
So,
It's exciting.
I see how you engage agents with this information that you're sharing and that you've gained. How do you do it with your clients? Like, did you come home and like, push it out to them? Were you sending it while in the park? How do you
A
approach your clients?
a little bit of both, a little bit of both. Like, definitely making sure that I'm sharing the content and also, like, the bragging rights that you're there kind of, but also going through and thinking about my clients and like I'm a villains girly. We know this about me. But like looking for my clients like, okay, who's going to be excited about this villain show, or where are my fellow Muppet lovers that I can talk to about these things, and trying to engage them on like that personal interest level that gave them that like, oh, she remembered that that's what my kids were really into when we were there. So those like individual text messages,
Mm,
honestly, I think went further than like my broad marketing
yeah.
efforts. It's just more noise. But when I text and say, oh my gosh, your daughter is gonna flip out, they're like, oh, okay. When does that
Yeah.
open?
See,
So,
people love that you remember stuff about them in the moment. And
mhm,
to me, that's kind of a cornerstone of great customer service and the reason that people are using agents. And
yeah.
I love it. You guys, I've taken up enough of your time. Maranatha needs to go to sleep because she's
Yes.
in Portugal. Um, I thank you so much for your wise words today and your time. Everyone, I hope you were wildly entertained. These two are so fun. We'll see you next week, and we are going to discuss luxury travel in preparation for Luxury Symposium happening at the end of September. Remember, you can still sign up for in person or virtual. We'd love to see you virtually. And Laura Reese will be here along with Chantel Nye as my guest. So we'll see you then. Amy, Maranatha, thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Good night,
having us.
Maranatha.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.